Would you believe shortly after that, old Brodus, he fell ill and he died? Now, I felt guilty knowing it was my prayers that surely killed him. And I would have given all the gold in the world to bring back his soul. But I found that, do it with me, y'all. Y'all sound like cats. I found that I just couldn't pray for the man no way, y'all. Who's laughing over there?
Not me.
I just couldn't pray for the man no way, y'all. Well, praise the Lord, because I really did try. Now, the Reverend Dr. Thompson, he was now managing the estate. He said that he would not sell any of the slaves off the plantation or out of Maryland. And they were so satisfied. They trusted him. They were so happy. But I did not trust it, and I was right. You see, the Reverend Dr. Thompson started to settle the outstanding bills of the plantation by selling off our ancestors. And so one day, I was working up in the field, and far down below, in a cart on the open road, I saw my sisters, Catherine and Mary, being taken off in shackles. The shackles went from our throats to our wrists to our ankles. Catherine and Mary, they were in shackles, and they were to be set down. I was so young, I was so little, and there was absolutely nothing that I could have done to help save them. I couldn't rescue them. I couldn't help them. There was absolutely nothing that I could have done. And I never saw either one of them again after that. And Catherine and Mary, God, I am so sorry. Shortly after that, my father was hired out to the change gang to cut cotton. I was put to work in Stewart's house as a maid, but after 3 months, I begged him to let me work outdoors because I could plow, I could chop wood, and I could drive a team of oxen better than most men. I'm talking to you. So he put me with the timber crew, swinging an axe alongside my father. And it turns out, I was so good. He let me hire myself out for $50 a year. I was making money, y'all. You see, by developing the strength and muscle power, I was preparing for the hardship and the endurance which lay before me. And ladies, I also started to save some money of my own. And that is when I first learned that there were white people who would help me. A Quaker woman used to stop by the field where I worked, and she would say to me, Harriet, if you are ever in need of anything, you come to my cottage, and I will give you directions to a railroad that goes underground to freedom. A railroad to freedom? From then on, all I ever dreamed about was freedom. So when the Reverend Dr. Thompson started to sell off more slaves, I persuaded my brothers, Ben and Henry. Come on, Levi. I persuaded my brothers, Ben and Henry, to escape with me. You better pick up your feet and act like you won't be here. I persuaded my brothers, Ben and Henry, to escape with me. We're rolling out to the right, honey. So I persuaded my brothers, Ben and Henry, to escape with me. So as we're walking, we got to the river. And I knew that freedom is on the other side of that river, and we must cross that river. But my brothers, they started crying. Less teeth, more tears, crying. spite. I said, please, brothers, we must cross the river to freedom. My brothers told me no, and then they dragged me back to the plantation. I said, you dragged me back to the plantation. Dragged me like a man. They dragged me back to the plantation and keep dragging, Levi. We're not dancing, drag me. They dragged me back to the plantation in spite of my protest. You see, let me go. You see, and I learned an important lesson from this. One that I would never forget. You see, freedom is only for those who are bold enough to take it. And I would have to run alone. Two things I had a right to. Liberty or death. And if I could not have one, oh yes, I would have the other. For I had heard my people's groans over there. I had heard my people's groans and sighs, and I had seen their tears. And I would give every drop of blood in my veins to free them. And when the time has come for me to go, the Lord will let them take me. They can get over me. You're going that way. When I was 24 years old, I fell in love with John Tubman. Hey. Now, he was a handsome devil of a man, ladies, and John was also a free black. There were many free blacks in the southern states and Maryland at the time, and John asked me to be his wife. But at first, I said no, because I was enslaved. And if we had children, they would also be enslaved. But John overcame my fears and my concerns with promises to one day set me free somehow. So we was married by jumping over a broom. Ladies and gentlemen, in the year 1844 in the United States of America, there was no legal way for us to get married because we were not considered human. So we had to put down a regular house broom that you sweep your floors with. And John and I, we locked hands. And then we jumped over that broom, and just like that, we was married. She said jumping over, I don't know what sound that is, but you better get it. So jumping over a broom is a West African custom and Ashanti tribe tradition, which symbolize going over the threshold and into one's home and starting one's lives together. And for 4 years, John and I were so happy. Well, Mommy. Except for the fact that John never understood what it meant to be enslaved. You see, at night when I would go to sleep, I could see the horsemen coming, and I could hear the screams of women and children being taken to a far worse slavery than here. Often I would wake in terror screaming that I was being dragged away in chains. John often laughed at me, and he would tease me. And once he even said to me, if you ever try to escape, I will come after you and bring you back. Do you all believe he meant it? Yeah, dang, all of y'all? Well, I don't know if John meant it or not, but I knew that when I had to leave, I dared not tell John in case he betrayed me. Then when I was 28, the day came. The Reverend Dr. Thompson had ordered me sold. He said he was tired of my mouth on the plantation. He said I had to go. So I did not tell John in case he betrayed me. And that night, I went to my friend, the Quaker woman who I told you about. I went there that night, and true to her word, she hid me in her attic. And she also told me about other hideaways all heading north. heard of it? No. Yes? No? Okay, it's a mixed audience, okay. My father sang this song. His father sang this song. My father taught me this song. But it wasn't until now that I finally understood the powerful meaning of the words of that song. When the sun goes down and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. The old man is waiting to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. You see, this song told our ancestors to escape when the call of birds migrating across the field. And then by looking up, there, you can see the old man, which looks like a drinking gourd, which is the North Star, and it's part of the Big Dipper, and it points north. The river bank makes a very good road. The dead trees, they show you the way. Left foot, head foot, traveling on. Stop with me. Left foot, head foot, traveling on. Left foot, head foot, traveling on. That's enough. You don't want to be on the first floor. Follow the drinking gourd. You see, walking along the riverbanks, our ancestors know that moss, M-O-S-S, only grows on the northern side of trees, which shows you're on the right course and heading north. So even under the cover of darkness, our ancestors could find their way north on overcast nights. And this is how my father, Honest Ben, taught me to follow the North Star to liberty. But leaving John was not easy for me. 2 years after my escape, when I was already bringing our ancestors to freedom, I had traveled back to Maryland for John. Let's roll. I had traveled back to Maryland for John because I missed my man so terribly. And so I went back to the Brodus plantation. Is that right there, baby? I went back. Now, I hadn't seen my husband in 2 years. 2 long years. And I just knew I gotta see my man. I gotta free my man. So before I knock on the door, I put on my peppermint plantation blistex. A little bit of banana. And then finally, I knocked on the door of our little cabin. Somebody give me a knocking sound. Somebody knock. Perfect. There you go, baby. So as I'm waiting there for my man, my fine man, 6'4" and all, y'all. As I'm waiting for him to open the door, all of a sudden, this young, juicy thing answered my husband's door. Don't you dare put your hand on your head. Don't get Harriet twisted. So anyway, like I said, for I was rudely interrupted by Miss Thing. So when she opened up my door, like I said, I'm expecting to see my husband. And like I said, this young, juicy little thing opened my husband's door. And so, and so I said, y'all had to keep it together. Because she could have been the maid, you know what I'm saying? So I said, excuse me, miss. Who are you answering my husband's door? Oh, she don't speak? Does she speak? She speak? Well, let's try this one more again then, okay? So, sweetie, little mistress here, I wasn't packing my peace, my heat that day. And I kept my dignity, sort of, and I did not give way to rage or to grief. And I collected a party of fugitives, and I brought them safely to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But she was not one who I ever rescued. You can go now. You are dismissed. These dudes ain't loyal. So with a broken heart and my party of 15 fugitives, we left. Does anyone know if I ever saw John again after that? Yes. I did? Yeah. Where? By the bodega on the corner? No. Where'd you get your history from? No. I never saw John again after that. Years later, he was actually murdered. But I never saw John again. So you should have stayed with me. I'm just saying. But I never saw John again after that. And so like I said, with a broken heart, we traveled at night on foot, over mountains, through forests, across mountains, valleys, dangers by water, danger by land, dangers from our enemy, even danger amongst false brethren from within my group. If there were small babies and little children, I carried a special potion that would stop their crying and help them sleep. Because the journey was so dangerous, yo. Do you know what I gave the children and little babies, yo?
Melatonin.
Melatonin, not even close. 5 letters, begins with an O. Opium. Opium. Ooh, look at my little junkie back there. So yes, I gave them opium. Don't judge me, y'all. You have sheriffs and dogs chasing your tail. I gave them just a little bit, just enough to knock them out for 12 to 18 hours. Just a little bit on the tip of their tongue, but don't worry. When they woke up, no one had ADD, no one had ADHD, none of that. Now, did I also travel with black pepper and onions?
No.
Yes, yes I did. What were they used for? The dogs. What about the dogs? They would go off the scent, the black pepper. What did the onions do? It what? It made the dog cry. So I'm gonna get that close to the dog, let him smell the onion, and let him cry, and then run off. Dog, you don't get me? No, but you're close, baby. So yes, I took the black pepper. I sprinkled it down because dogs, it would lose their scent. The onions, we traveled mainly by the water, right?
Mosquitoes.
So the onions, when we got out, we carried raw onions. We would split it apart with our nails, and we would rub it rigorously all over our skin. It would get into our pores. Why? Dogs could not follow our scent. And then when we traveled through the waters, right? We had to, like I said, dogs cannot follow a human scent through the waters. That's where the old Negro spiritual. Wade, sing it with me. In the water, wade. Who's that young girl dressed in white? God's gonna trouble the water. She must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that young girl dressed in red? God's gonna trouble